See, Rob, we've got this issue that in the Western world, that's everywhere touched by capitalism, trust indices are at an all-time low, made worse by the recession. You know, we don't trust our lawyers, we don't trust our accountants because they shred documents, we don't trust our politicians, we increasingly don't trust our banks. And this is a real problem because if we lose faith in the legitimacy of our political and economic institutions, we really, really will have a crisis. So I think this research that we've been doing on what the followers want is very relevant. I mean, and so on. And they say large numbers of followers what they want in a huge variety of contexts, you know, in pharma companies and professional services companies and banks and universities and hospitals and so on. And they say a bewildering variety of things, but the good news is it looks like it's beginning to cohere rather clearly. And the first thing they say they want is community. They want to belong to something, which I suppose fits the literature produced in America, you know, epitomized by Bowling Alone, Putnam's book, which gets its title from bowling has never been as popular in America as it is now, but bowling leagues have collapsed. And those informal institutions of civil society in decline, which he thinks is bad news. Of course, for smart organizations, it's an opportunity because leaders in those organizations can become community builders. Now, I think a really tough thing, of course, is to say, what does it mean to be a community builder as a leader in your organization? Whether you're in a bank or a hospital or a university or a school. So hopefully in this workshop, people will get a real chance to think about that question.
I think, not surprisingly, what we've also discovered is that people go to work and want to have a sense of authenticity. They want to be led by people that they can believe in, led by people that they feel they can trust, led by people that they feel are operating in their interests as well as their own, and that they feel there's a shortage of this authentic sense of individuals and organisations. So what we seem to discover when we talk to followers is they want people who are comfortable revealing some of their differences that they have, which are strengths and which can excite others. And they're also looking for individuals that, up to a point, are reasonably comfortable with some of their shortcomings, some of their weaknesses and some of their fallibilities. Sometimes these things make people look even more human and attractive, paradoxically. And clearly when individuals go through 360 assessments, this is often a really rich source of getting to know how do others see you, how do followers, colleagues see you, and what have you got that you can use that is authentically yours. And absolutely clearly what people don't want when they go to work is to see someone impersonating Jack Welch or the boss or whoever it is the latest hero in the organisation. They want to be led by someone who expresses some personality and is able to demonstrate differences which will excite others and are authentically theirs. And clearly the best leaders are those who get some sense of what they've got and then show it skillfully. They know themselves and they show themselves well with others. I think that's clearly a big theme in our interviews.
I'm often reminded of Epicurus's remark. He's asked, what are your assumptions? And he replies, real men, I think he means women as well, standing on the round earth, breathing in and out all the powers of nature. Real people doing stuff, and of course real people have weaknesses and strengths and differences and foibles. And
I think that the sort of problem is when we try to seek perfection, get measured on all the competences and try and score 10 out of 10 on all of them. Yeah. And the reality is I want to be led by a person, not the perfect being. So clearly we want to see individuals in, as they are, but clearly there's also scope for all of us to sort of polish those differences which are positive and express them skillfully.
It's also interesting, I think, what came out of the research is that how much followers wanted significance. They wanted a sense of significance, a sense that their leader appreciated their contribution to the whole. I remember when we wrote that little article, Followership is Personal Too. We tell the story of the late President Kennedy visiting NASA, and he sees a man sweeping the floor. And he says, "Hi, I'm President Kennedy. What are you doing?" And the guy replies, "I'm putting a man on the moon." Now, I've no idea if the story is true or not, by the way, but if it's true, someone had done a great leadership job with that guy. They'd taken the lowest level participant and connected them to the loftiest ambitions of the organization. Since we wrote that, by the way, I've got interested in reception staff, and because they're often, aren't they, an organization's window onto the market. And I'll tell you two contrasting experiences. One is in a hotel where I've arrived without my phone charger. So I go down to reception and say, "I'm awfully sorry to trouble you, but have you got a Sony Ericsson charger?" "No!" Well, I sort of slink away and, I'm shocked and so on. Well, guess what? I'll never stay in that hotel again. I'll never stay in that hotel chain again, by the way. So they've lost a good customer. Now, contrast it with a rather glamorous private bank I've been working with recently, and spending quite a lot of their time in their head office in Switzerland. And I arrive at their rather grand head office, and it's got marble hall and so on, and I'm greeted in a rather formal Swiss-German way. "Good morning, Professor Jones." He knows my name. "I have a copy of your itinerary. Let me take you to your first meeting." Well, makes me feel like $1 million.
Absolutely.
Now, what bank are private banks in?
Yeah.
What business are private banks in? The business of making people feel special.
Yeah.
So actually, I think the idea of giving people a sense of significance is one of the ways in which you can produce exceptional performance. I think there's a problem. Northern Europeans often are not very good at this. They're a bit mean with significance, I think you and I, Rob, know too many people whose partners say to them, "You never say you love me anymore." And they reply, "You were informed 20 years ago. If there's any change, I'll email you." Well, what I think our research shows is that leaders need to be sources of significance. And hopefully in this workshop, people will really get a chance to ask that question: am I a source of significance to my followers?
And the last big theme from our interviews was they need to be a source of energy and excitement. People need to go to work and feel that they're going to a place which is inspiring, and they're going to be lifted to higher levels of performance. And I think that you've got to work, haven't you, somewhere where there's a buzz, and the buzz is typically created by the really good leaders. What does the buzz feel like, that sort of excitement feel like? I think it often feels, and we've found in our interviews, that it's sort of communicating a sense of edge and energy and passion. It isn't always pleasant, sometimes it feels a little edgy and uncomfortable, but clearly that sort of communication of a sense of excitement, lifting people, inspiring people is at the root of the great leaders that we've seen, and it's clearly a big theme in all of those that we've interviewed, asking them, what do they want from their leaders. So, a fundamental question for all those we've worked with, when they leave our programs or our training events is, to think when they go back to their teams and the door opens and their face comes through the door, how do their followers see them? Do they celebrate that this person's back, this is an exciting person, or do they think, "Oh my God, he's back, she's back, that we thought the course was 2 weeks long, it was only a week, it's back already, misery guts is back." I think that sort of sense of excitement is clearly important, and it often comes from simple things like the sort of passion or energy or devotion almost that people invest in the task which they have. It isn't necessarily this sort of crazy, overblown, charismatic personality that's sometimes excessively celebrated in the business literature. So I think what we found is always, the good leaders know where their differences, their unique differences are, distinctiveness, and use that as a source to excite others, whatever it is. And, let's stop using this big word charisma maybe.
So that leaves us with followers wanting community, authenticity, significance, excitement, case.
Absolutely.
And over the course of the next couple of days, they've got a chance to develop their own leadership case.
Yeah. Have you made it?
But it does leave them with a couple of difficult questions. Are you a source of energy to your team? Are you authentic? Do you take your real self to work? I think you and I know too many people who role play their way through the week and try and rediscover their humanity at the weekend. Well, it won't work.
Yeah.
You're going to spend most of your adult waking life at work. It has to be a place where you can be authentic. And then the final difficult question, which this workshop should help with, is who decides? And of course the sad thing is not you. It's your followers who decide whether you're exciting and authentic. So hopefully this will really help, and the case framework is a good way of thinking about it.